Hi, I'm Jason Gore for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to look at this release, The Cars on Rhino High Fidelity.
Big shelf.
So, we've seen a really fascinating sort of change in the world of vinyl. Obviously, I'm not telling you anything that many viewers don't already know, but we've seen an explosion of people coming into the hobby, especially during COVID. People were at home, finding time to actually listen to music. But well before that, the sort of resurgence of this medium has been quite remarkable to witness. And in many ways, we are getting releases that are the absolute pinnacle of the form. I mean, the fact that it's come this far, we can nitpick, and certainly there's a lot of things you can see on this channel where we have expectations. We're spending a fortune on a bunch of these records, and they're not coming at the quality that we would expect. But even for general releases, we've gotten used to a relatively good expectational quality. Also, many companies that were previously very niche, people were buying a few thousand copies of certain records, as opposed to tens of thousands or hundred thousands or millions of titles of given pop artists, have been catering to a crowd that genuinely cares about vinyl from an audiophilic or a sound quality perspective. And Rhino, Rhino started as sort of almost a goofy label, doing Louie Louie compilations, doing stuff like that. But over the years, they've done some really amazing releases. Their Handmade series on CD has some incredible releases, and I will simply say this to our friends at Rhino. The Aretha Franklin complete at the Fillmore we need to have happen. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I would love it on vinyl. I'm putting that out there. Anyway, as part of one of their new series, as they're part of one of the larger conglomerates, they are doing their own sort of, high quality, high presentation analog sources, often excellent mastering engineers, et cetera, for a series of titles. There's a bunch of labels that have been doing this for jazz for many, many years, a bunch of classical stuff. But within the pop idiom, it's actually relatively few who are doing it. We got a few UHQR titles, for example. We got a few MoFi titles. But there hasn't been really as much attention paid for incredibly strong exceptional quality for records deserving of it, that are well recorded and actually deserving of an incredibly good presentation on vinyl. And what we have here with the Cars is sort of the first of a numbered series from the people at Rhino. This is the Cars debut. Has Good Times Roll, My Best Friend's Girl, Just What I Needed. I mean, just those first three songs there, like those are gazillion. Those just played incessantly in my childhood. I'm in Touch with Your World, Don't Just Stop. You've All I Got Tonight, Bye Bye Love, Moving Stereo, and All Mixed Up. This record, sort of, I guess it was lumped in with new wave. It's sort of like right. I mean, in some ways, this is sort of both the precursor and the last gasp of true sort of guitar-based music that was sort of would run through the '80s into the early mid '90s, and we get all kinds of nonsense there. And then certainly everything took a different turn, as it were, as production changed, as dance music, electronic music, as obviously hip hop became the more profound modes of popular music, and stuff like sort of whatever you want to call this new wave rock, and these kind of elements sort of faded more in the background. This is not a record I listened to a hell of. This is actually not one I owned originally. I had some of the later Cars records; those sort of hit it more in the sweet spot for me. But I wanted to give this a shot. I wanted to see how it would actually fare, and I'm excited to actually have a copy. It's limited to 5,000. It's apparently numbered, but I'm guessing the number's probably under the cardboard strip. Not an Obi, because I think an Obi has to go all the way around, but somebody can correct me in the comments. But as it says right on the front here, 180-gram vinyl, yay. Cut from the original analog master tapes by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. Again, Kevin Gray is just one of these names that as much as a brand name as a label these days. Exceptional mastering engineer, incredibly sensitive to getting the most out of master tapes, and it's wonderful that people, like, for lack of a better word, technicians, people who sort of do the task of going from whatever the master source and to get to maximize what you can actually get on wax is it's wonderful that these guys are becoming household names to a particular segment, but still, you know who the heck he was. When I was a kid, it was people like Doug Sachs or Robert Ludwig. I'd know these names and see their graphs. Robert Ludwig in particular, I would see the name in the credit after record after record after record. I'm like, what the hell's this guy? What is this guy's story? And now when you have people like Grumman and Kevin Gray, Ron K. Smith, and a number of other people, that you don't want them to overshadow the recordings that they're doing, but you sort of know, ideally, if they've been hired to do something like this, that at the very least the label's taking it seriously and sort of doing a name brand mastering of it. Heavyweight gatefold jacket, so it feels heavyweight in a good way. Includes exclusive insert featuring Q&A with guitarist Elliot Easton. Limited number edition of 5,000. So let's crack it open and see what we have inside. So if I do this without too much drama. So again, we have this little strip here. It's actually, even this is pretty cool. Hard cardboard. And then we have this beautiful glossy cover. And there we go, under the lip. So I have 0267 of 5,000. So 267 of 5,000. Go figure. Printed, yeah, so it actually sits behind the card, so you can't see what the number is. As I crack this open, we will get a wonderful cracking sound, probably. Oh, yeah. And inside the gatefold, we got, so it's glossy on the front. You can see the reflection of the light there. And the inside, a more matte finish. Rick Ocasek, Benjamin Orr, David Robinson, Elliot Easton, and Greg Hawkes, The Cars. I mean, black shirts and white suspenders. I mean, God bless the early 80s. So we actually have the lyrics on here. Let the good times roll. Let the good times knock you around. Let them knock you around. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. Actually, reading it seems very fatuous, but I mean, the song's great. The production's amazing. I cannot wait to actually dig into this. Let's see what the actual record itself looks like. So it does come in a polylined sleeve. And the record itself, as hoped for, looks perfect. So looking at the dead wax, I see a KG here. Yeah. KG at CA. Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. I don't know where this is pressed. I think there was talk of it being RTI, but I don't actually remember where it was pressed. I don't see any particular marks that actually shows that, but also I'm not the best person reading Matrix. That will be available on Discogs. But nonetheless, the record looks super flat, super clean. I see no obvious fingerprints or any nonsense like that. And the fact that it's shipped with a poly sleeve is beneficial. I'll be putting it in my Vinyl Storage Solution 3mm sleeves anyway, after it goes into my degrader. And what else do we have in here? Do we have, we were promised some sort of verbiage. I don't know. Here we are. So in the front of the gatefold, we have this, which actually, this is, I always love when they do this, Error Recording Studio. So there's a copy of the actual master tape, front and back. So you can actually read, tones at head, 900 hertz, 12 kilohertz, 90 hertz. Yeah, so there's the side one of the tape, all the master reel one. What does it say at the bottom? This tape is recorded at 10 plus 10 dBm. Decibels per minute? No, I don't know what dBm is. 6 dB above Ampex operating level. Yeah, a whole bunch of set machine replay to 0 on a VU meter or NAB mark and Dolby corresponds to plus. All right, so it's nice, all the stuff that I'm not a master engineer or any engineer. So, I mean, it's all relatively close, but I think, like, do this. Hey, look, here's the tape. Here's you actually how you actually record it. Jeff Workman, Nigel Walker at the bottom here on this. Box 316. And box 256 at the back, the same operating. Producer Roy Barker, client Electra, February 1978. when it originally came out. So again, by the time I got the car, 78, I was, what, 5. So by the time the Cars records that I really knew in the early 80s, they were really defining that era and a much more pop sensibility, whereas this one, again, we're talking the same era as early Blondie, early Talking Heads, early Police. So as the sort of punk movements were coming out, you were getting these people that were sort of twisting rock and roll in a way of incorporating different sonic landscapes and doing stuff that was still incredibly melodic, but had a sort of more angular edge. And I think the Cars absolutely fit in that. Because I'm coming in from the more poppy end, it's not dissimilar to me that by the first time that I'm seeing somebody like Stevie Wonder, let's be clear, Stevie Wonder to the Cars is slightly it's an unfair comparison, but nonetheless, by the time I'm getting the Stevie Wonder in the 80s, it took me a while to actually go backwards. The Cars a similar way. I think the later albums are great, but I think that to understand them within context of what was taking place, particularly in 78, is very, very informative. Quote, "We were moving very quickly, Elliot Easton on recording the Cars." So there's the essay on the recording and some further breakdowns, the label, etc., the Electra thing. Yeah, so a beautiful package, exactly what one would expect from a premium package. It would be awesome if this was just always for sale. It's great that I have a numbered version. I'm happy about that. But frankly, I would love if this is just the version that you can just go pick up for 30, 40 bucks at a record store. I know 30, 40 bucks for a record seems insane that that's the new normal, but it is the new normal. This is obviously a little bit more. This obviously I had to bring in directly exclusively from their online store. But nonetheless, it looks like they did an absolute terrific job. I'm super excited about actually taking a listen to it. And getting rid of, I mean, there's a little bit of fingerprints of just me touching it, because the gloss, I'll wipe that up and put it in one of my file storage double sleeves and be happy with that. Unfortunately, I will have my 267 to 5000 underneath the strip, but that's fine. I will know it is there. Anyway, I would love to know what you think about this particular record, what you think about this particular process of releasing this stuff on their series. You can see the Rhino High Fidelity logo sort of on there. We don't know what's coming, but I mean, obviously the Rhino catalog is amazing. But as I said, if I have one request, my God, do an absolute monster box set of the Aretha Complete of Fillmore. I know the tapes aren't in the best of shape, but if there's an opportunity to do it, I don't care if there's hum. I just want the difference in the performance and the tempos and everything between the, I guess, 3 shows that she recorded then is astonishing. It's truly one of the miracles of live recordings. And yes, the sort of single record, the regular release is profound, but to have a true amazing collector's item like this, bringing in some of those Rhino handmade. I'll give you another one. I would love to see, not necessarily coming from this label, but just in general, the Joe Cocker live stuff. We have, these fantastic live records that were only ever sort of culled from various performances. Sort of a complete set of some of these things, I think, would just be astonishing. And that's the kind of thing that I think that the direct-to-consumer model will be great on. Not everybody's going to want to hear every bloody note of Aretha, even though you should. But that's something that I think can very much sort of sit aside beside this. So we have something like this, a relatively big record, certainly big record at the time, limited, getting people excited about it, and then branch out and do stuff that I really loved when Rhino did, when they do stuff slightly off kilter, slightly out of left field, and bring us in an audiophile in an incredible package in the best possible way, something at a reasonable price that still speaks to what collectors are looking for, with something unique and amazing and musical. That's our look. Let me know in the comments what you think of this particular release. Please follow us on social media. Go to our website at thatshelf.com, and we will see you next video. All the best. Take care.